I love music. Like many of you here, some of my first memories were sitting with my mom, learning songs like the ABCs and Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. But how many of y'all knew that those two songs had the exact same melody? You did, you did. It's okay if you didn't, because I didn't either. Matter of fact, I didn't know that until probably fairly recent to a point where I was almost embarrassed to tell you. Matter of fact, I'll tell you right before I wrote this speech, okay? Music has been a powerful tool in my life. I've loved music. I love all genres of music. Of course, as you could tell, I love hip-hop, of course. I love R&B. I love jazz. I like 80s pop music. I like 90s rock music. Country, I'm still working on it, you know? Like we're dating right now, and we're trying to figure out if we like each other, you know? But I like all different types of music to fit my moods and styles and everything. See, music is this powerful tool that can be imaginative. As a matter of fact, it's so ingrained in our day-to-day lives that I couldn't imagine a life without it, and I'm pretty sure you couldn't either. For instance, by a show of hands, who here has sang with a group of their friends at the top of their lungs, possibly kind of, sort of in unison, maybe on key, maybe not? You might have been inebriated, I don't know. Not judging you. All right, hands down. Second question. How many of you guys here, while you're commuting back and forth to work, maybe while you're in traffic, you listen to some of your favorite albums to help make the time easier? Anybody? Nice. Okay, keep your hands up if you're one of those people who, like, dance in the car as if nobody's watching. I love y'all. Y'all like my form of entertainment when I ride past y'all. Lastly, how many of you guys here have ever played a sad, sad love song when you were heartbroken? See, that's the part where y'all supposed to say, oh, you missed it. It's okay. But see, music is imaginative, it's creative, it's a powerful tool that enhances our emotional states. See, it's so powerful that it can turn a everyday brush or a comb into a microphone. Matter of fact, it's such a powerful tool that if you play the right song at the right time, it can make a whole room filled with strangers feel like a reunion between the best of friends. Like, for instance, if I turn around and sang, just a small town girl living in a, ooh, she took the midnight train going. Look at y'all. Oh, my God. The TED Talk is done. Thank you. Okay. But it can create this community, this sense of togetherness, right? I often felt like music was the closest thing that I had to playing God. Because with it, you can change the way a person thinks, the way a person acts, and most importantly, the way a person feels, all in an instant. I believe if we use this tool properly, not only can we entertain, but we can change people's lives, we can heal, we can connect, as well as possibly, potentially, save lives. One of my favorite singers in the world, Michael Jackson, once said, "Let the madness in the music get to you. Life ain't so bad at all." See, I first learned how powerful music could be when I was about 17, 18 years old at a concert. Not in the way you would think. I just got 2 tickets to an R&B slow jam concert, right? And I planned on taking this girl. I had a thing for her, right? Right before I went to go pick her up, she called me. She told me she canceled. That was the part where y'all supposed to say, oh. See, you're too late. You missed it. You missed it. But she canceled on me. So I did what any young, single, kind of handsome, depending on the angle that you look at him, type of guy would do. And I scrolled through the numbers and names that I had, tried to find a replacement. I seen all these Ishas and Keishas and Lisas, and found out that Isha, Keisha, and Lisa didn't want anything to do with me. And so I did the next best thing. Actually, it wasn't even the next best thing. Actually, I just asked my dad if he'll go with me. I don't know if anybody has ever been to an R&B slow jam concert with your dad, but I will tell you firsthand, it's awkward, okay? Extremely awkward. But it ended up being one of the best experiences of my life because up until that point, my dad was just my dad. He was an Army guy. He was very strict, very stoic. He always noticed every little thing I did wrong. Very seldom did he praise what I did right because I was supposed to do right because it is right. But at the concert, my dad became human. We actually got a chance to talk. Like, I learned stuff about my dad that I never knew. Like, he knew all the words to the theme song of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And that he actually had great advice when it came to relationships. Like, what would he know? He's married, right? You know? But he knew everything. But then also, one thing that crazy happened, right? I accidentally cursed in front of my dad. I was like, oh my God, no, now, as if it's not embarrassing enough that I'm at the concert with my dad's gonna pull off his belt and whoop me in front of all these people. But actually, he didn't say anything. I was surprised. See, the music created this environment that allowed us to remove the pressures of being the perfect child and the perfect parent and allowed us to be ourselves. Something unique happened where my dad was able to look at the music that I was listening to and relate to where I was in life. He was able to draw this connection. And then I was able to, in turn around and see all the sacrifices that he made for me. And I seen that he genuinely loved me. See, music has this way of being this generational bridge. And when it came together, it created this bond. Now, when making these bonds, especially as parents with children, there's one key thing that we need to keep in mind of not to do. Do not pass judgment. Say it with me, not pass judgment. Give people the space to like what they like, to make what they make, to voice their opinions, even if you don't understand it, even if you don't agree with it. See, the goal is not to judge or to correct initially. The goal is to empathize, to create this understanding. Once someone sees that you can be trusted with something that they hold valuable, they'll be more willing to let go and to engage you with things that they are more so like guarding, deeper issues. Another thing that I always used to love, one of my favorite songwriters, man, this guy could describe the world better than most people who could see, Stevie Wonder. He said, music, at its essence, is what gives us memories. The longer a song has existed in our lives, the more memories we have of it. As a songwriter, I started to learn firsthand how powerful music could be. See, there's something freeing about being able to write your experiences down, whether happy or sad or in between. So you were able to write down your thoughts and capture these memories and these feelings while at the same time simultaneously processing them. I often felt like writing music was like the therapy that my parents could never afford. There was something amazing that used to happen when I used to make music. I used to turn around and release it to the world, and then it somehow, some way would get to people who never seen me, didn't know me, didn't walk on my block, but felt the exact same way I did. It let me know I wasn't alone. See, this therapeutic writing had started to turn into therapeutic listening. And it created a symbiotic-like relationship where me as an artist, at first, I was writing to help myself. But then I started releasing it, and I started figuring out that, wow, this is helping other people. But there was a third step. Because my music, at first, I felt like I'm validating their experiences. But I found out in the process that they were actually validating my existence. Speaking of existence, when it comes to music, sometimes you have to go through a process where you even question your existence. Another one of my favorite songwriters, Donny Hathaway, Chicago native as well. He said, "For all we know, we may never meet again. Before you go, make this moment sweet again." One of the worst experiences that I had in my life was in 2013. I was watching the news, and then they announced something that we as people from Chicago hear, unfortunately, far too often. There had been a shooting. 3 people were shot, and one person was killed. They didn't say who it was, but I remember I got this distinct feeling in the pit of my stomach that something wasn't right. The next day, I got a phone call from one of my friends, and he said, "Did you watch the news yesterday?" And he proceeded to tell me that a kid that we once taught as camp counselors was shot and was killed. At that moment, I felt this pain. This pain that even while I was writing this speech, I have a hard time describing. And to this day, I have a hard time accepting. To know that he's gone, that I won't get a chance to talk to him again. As I found myself feeling this feeling of defeat, feeling like I had fought against this city that seems to snatch the lives of these little boys and girls, taking their innocence and their lives without any signs of remorse, I felt like I failed him. As I found myself fighting depression, one of the things that seemed to help me the most was like listening to songs. Listening to songs like Stevie Wonder's "I Never Dreamed You Leaving Summer." Songs that seemed like they described what I was going through better than I ever could. Songs that allowed me to be vulnerable. Songs that allowed me to get out these feelings that I was internalizing. It also reminded me of the good times. It made me think about the last time I used to talk to him when he would ask me to rap while we were supposed to be doing other activities. But to see the joy on his face, the happiness. Like music allowed him to escape his reality, if only for a moment. It allowed him to be the kid that the streets didn't allow him to be. I often think what his life would have been like had somebody gave him an outlet. Or if somebody would have gave him a microphone instead of a gun. Certain songs started echoing back in my head, and one in particular was Ironic by Alanis Morissette. And in it, she said, life has a funny way of sneaking up on you. And life has a funny, funny way of helping you out. I use that experience of loss, as well as the things that I've been learning about music, and I use it as a call to action. Last year in 2016, we created a free youth studio called Haven Studios. Haven Studios is a partnership with Guitars Over Guns and the Mount Pisgah Missionary Baptist Church. We built a studio in the basement of a church, and we gave the kids a place to be. Monday through Friday, 10 until 6. I say 6 loosely because nobody ever leaves at 6. But the kids and the teenagers and young adults are able to come in and make the music that they want to make. This freedom has led us to discussing deeper issues. Issues such as addiction, gun violence, depression, suicide, and even molestation. The kids, from recording around each other, were able to see that they weren't the only persons or only people going through that. It helped to create this community, this sense of camaraderie, to know that you had a safe space where you could vent both socially and creatively. Like, we had so much success since we opened up our doors. We've been on all these different outlets. But one of the things I'm most proud of is saying that we were able to rectify relationships with kids and their families. We were able to improve attendance at school. And even one of the greatest things that I found was we were able to stop kids who used to sell drugs and rob people and help them find positive alternatives. There came a moment when I felt like, or at least I thought, that history was doomed to repeat itself. Two teens had issues with each other, and I'm saying issues so deep that one of them wanted to kill the other and had the capabilities to do so. They had just lost a friend of theirs to gun violence, and one of them wanted to retaliate. but the other one was tired of this never-ending cycle of violence. Their anger and their frustration led them to fight each other. Me knowing that what it feels like to lose a student, as well as their history with guns, I knew that time was of the essence. Luckily for me, the students came in the very next day to the studio. They walked in. One of them seen the other, and he looked at me, he said, "2, out of respect for you, I'm going to leave. But when I see him again, it's a wrap." I immediately told everybody else to leave the studio, and I sat the 2 down, away from the naysayers and the people who could interrupt. And I let them have this conversation, this very intense conversation. But this conversation mirrored the music-making process, where the kids were able to be honest with each other. They were able to be vulnerable. They were able to say the things that somebody else may not agree with. They said things that I know I didn't even agree with. But they were able to get a better understanding about each other from listening with the intent of listening. They got closer because of the experience. I'm proud to say to this day, these kids now are like the best of friends. They record with each other. They collaborate with each other. They play video games with each other all day. But they came so far. Had it not been for the fact that they had this mutual appreciation for music, they wouldn't have considered the studio to be this sacred ground. They wouldn't have been willing to have this conversation in this place. Had it been on the street, it might have ended tragically. See, music can be one of the greatest foundations that we can build relationships on. It has the ability to make a person feel confident, special, unique, loved, cherished. We can do so much with music when we actually apply it as something bigger than just entertainment. Because music is not just entertainment. It's a form of communication. If we can get thousands of people to come to a concert or to a TED Talk to sing Journey all in unison, imagine what we could do when we use it as a tool for change. Thank you. Peace and love, y'all.